We are working on Unit 2, Lesson 1, Factoring Quadratics and Cubes. In this unit, students will be expected to do the following. Factor trinomials where the coefficient of the largest x term is equal to 1. Factor the trinomials where the coefficient of the largest x term is not equal to 1. Factor the difference of two squares. Factor the greatest common factor. Factor by grouping. Factor cubic sums. Factor cubic differences. Quadratics. The standard form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. Therefore, we will visit the factoring of the quadratic in a number of different ways. The first thing you need to do in order to factor quadratics is to recognize the type of quadratic that you're dealing with. If I'm dealing with a trinomial where the coefficient of the largest x term is equal to 1, first I find the largest x term. For each of these quadratics, it happens to be x squared. The coefficient may be apparent, so 1 may be in front of it, or the coefficient might be not there. When it's not there, we can accept that the coefficient in front is equal to 1. Once we recognize this, we know we're dealing with a coefficient of a trinomial for the largest x term is equal to 1, or a is equal to 1. When we're dealing with a coefficient where the largest x term is of the largest x term and it's not equal to 1, we still need that x squared term to be our largest x term. We need 3 different terms, and that coefficient in front has to not equal 1. And we'll use a different method for these types of trinomials. When we're dealing with the difference of two squares, we have 2 squares, or even exponent here. So other examples that we might see might be x to the 4th minus 64. These are 2 squares, and we'll see that, or x to the 6th minus 64. We could even have x to the 100th. As long as that power is even, and this is a square, perfect square. Okay, we're dealing with perfect squares. Now, we're first going to figure out how to operate with trinomials where the coefficient a equals 1. But firstly, let's identify trinomials that look like that here below. And you can use your highlighter in Google Docs or in Microsoft Word. So here the coefficient is 1, but there's only 2 terms. Here the coefficient is -1, but it's not quite what I need. Here it's 4, here it's 4, and here is the correct trinomial. So I'm going to highlight this one or circle it. And lastly, we have a coefficient of 9, so it's definitely not it. And there's only 2 terms. So there's only one option here, right? So factoring trinomials where the coefficient a equals 1. To factor trinomials where a equals 1, you need only identify the coefficient of the x term, which is b. And remember, we're dealing with this trinomial, comes in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c. So the 2 numbers we're going to look at once we identify our trinomial appropriately is the b term. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight those. It's attached to the x term in each trinomial. That b term, all right. So I'm going to write that here, which I already did. You need to write that here, that b term here for each block. We're looking for 2 numbers that add up to 7, and they multiply to our c term. So that would be 6. I'm going to write that here. -6, I'm going to write that here. 20, I'm going to write that here. And -80, I'm going to write that here. Okay? The only thing that you need to remember after this is that if we're dealing with all positives, we don't have to worry about negative numbers. But when we're dealing with at least one negative, we have to worry about negative numbers. And you'll see that when we go through the steps here. Okay? So first, I'm going to start with a solution that could be 1. That's always 1. I always start with 1 as a solution. And then I divide C by 1. And then I add those two solutions together and I get 7. And I can write my first factor, which is x plus 1, and my second factor, which is x plus 6. And I get that from right here. It allows me to write this equation, this quadratic, in factor form. X plus 1 times x plus 6. Okay? So looking at the next one, there's at least one negative, so I'm going to start with a negative 1 as a first solution. See, negative 6 divided by negative 1 equals 6. So my second solution is 6. Negative 1 plus 6 is, oh, let me write this in here. Got multiplies to negative 6, adds up to, put a 1 in front, positive 1. Negative 6, positive 6 plus minus 1 is equal to 5. So this isn't it. So I go to the next number that could divide negative 6, and I choose negative 2. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 equals positive 3. So negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1. And here are my factors, so I write those out. X minus 2 times x plus 3. All right, I write these out here. The factor form of x squared plus 1x minus 6 equals x, the quantity of x minus 2, times the quantity of x plus 3. Okay? Starting it with at least one negative, so I start with negative 1. 20 divided by negative 1 equals negative 20. So I'm going to write that here. Negative 1 minus 20 equals negative 21. Does not equal negative 9. And so that doesn't work. So I go to negative 2. Negative 20 divided by negative 2 equals positive, oh, it says positive, negative 10. So I tried that. Put them together and I get negative 12. That doesn't work, so I go to the next one. It's not negative 3 because 20 does not divide negative 3. So I try negative 4 and I get negative 5. So negative 4, negative 5. Negative 4 minus 5 equals negative 9. So there's my factors. So I have the quantity of x minus 4 and the quantity of x minus 5. I write the factor form. And I'm done. Okay? What about the last one? Okay? So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 80 and add up to negative 2. So I start with dividing by negative 1, and I get 80. Those combined equals 79. That's not it. Try negative 2. And that combines to give me 38. Try skip 3, 4. And it combines to give me 16. Try 5. That combines to give me 11. Try 8. That combines to give me positive 2. try 10. And that combines to give me -2. So there's my two factors. So I have x minus 10 times x plus 8. When I write the factor form, I write x minus 10 times the quantity of x plus 8. So what does this look like in math space? So in math space, let me clear this out here. In math space, let's try it again. Let me erase all of this. In math space, we're just going to create our table. That's what we do, right? Let's erase all of this. This all looks wrong. That all looks wrong. In math space, we just create our table, all right? So we have our x squared plus 10x plus 25. Just go create a table here. Let me do that over here in a new sheet. Okay. Create a table. And we're looking at the equation x squared plus 10x plus 25. Create a table. Two numbers that multiply to c add up to b. So multiply to 25, add up to 10. All right, so start with positive 1. 25 divided by 1 is 25. That adds up to 26, so that's not it. Skip 2, skip 3, skip 4, and go to 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. That adds up to 10. So my two factors are x plus 5 times x plus 5. So they might ask for it in one of two ways. They might ask for this factor form, or they might ask for, since there's two groups, you could square it. So let's try the first one first. Okay. Let's clear this out. All right. X plus 5 times x plus 5. Press enter, and that's all she wrote. So that's how you might do that. So have a good day, guys. That's the first video.